Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Listen, I'm glad to have you guys here. Today is Tuesday, the 24th of March, 2020. And, let's get started. Let's open up the charts right here and take a look at what's going on. First thing we're taking a look at is the gold and silver price. Silver's at $13.92. It's up a little bit from what it was, up 65 cents. I'm going to tell you what. The Fed has just a lot of the stuff that I've been predicting for years now is starting to really come true, I remember talking about, now this is maybe a year ago or whatever, I remember talking about how the Fed would convene meetings, the economy would be collapsing, everything would be collapsing, the stock market would be collapsing, and the Fed would go in and they would have meetings, and then they would come out of the meetings and there would be monster stimulus measures like we've never seen before. And then everything would start to turn around again. I remember saying that that's what would happen, and that's exactly what's just happened. Monster stimulus is coming out of the Fed. They are going to buy everything. They're going to buy everything. $125 billion a day. Now if we compare that to the quantitative easing we used to have in the old days, $80 billion a month. Now they're doing $125 billion a day. That's like the old quantitative easing times 47 times. Over and over and over again. 47 times the old quantitative easing. 47 times as much. And they're buying everything. They're buying student loans. They're buying all the way down the list. They're buying everything, except they're not buying commodities yet. They're not buying houses. They are buying houses in a way because they're buying mortgage-backed securities, but they're buying everything. They're just buying the entire economy. Is basically what they've started doing. What's this going to do? And I'm going to tell you something. They're going to be buying commodities pretty soon. They're just putting everything on their balance sheet. Put it on our tab, and this is the way, actually, to tell you the truth, this is the best way to manage this crisis. But what's it going to do? What's the repercussions going to be? Well, they can print as much money as they want. They can buy everything with that money that they print. But they're not actually creating anything. All of the products that you buy, everything across the board, are things that people actually make with their hands. And if the factories are empty, if all the businesses are empty, if everything's empty and everybody is home, coughing, then nothing gets produced around the world. China's basically trying to come back online, but they're only up to about 20 or 30% capacity. The President of the United States realizes this, and he's talking about not completely ending it, but bringing people out, and having them go back to work and stuff. He's talking about that. That's mulling it over. But even still, even if part of the workforce actually goes back into work, production on all the things that we consume, we are consumers. We consume everything. And we've basically taken that for granted for the last 100 years. It's always there. The grocery store's always full. The shopping mall's always full of items that have been produced. And we just take that for granted. Where does it all come from? Well, here's the thing. The Fed's buying everything, so the economy can't fall now because they're buying everything. They're buying stocks, they're buying bonds, they're buying everything. Soon they'll be buying all the commodities too. But they're not producing anything. They're like the biggest consumer ever. And what we have going on here is we have the lender of last resort, which is the Fed. They're going to buy everything. They're just basically covering everything. $125 billion every day. They're buying the entire economy. And we have the borrower of last resort, which is the government. which is going to start spending like they're like there's no tomorrow. Okay? I mean, they can start building ghost cities here in the United States, with the government. I mean, they just got an unlimited pocketbook now at this point. But it doesn't produce anything. So here's what's going to happen. Everything that's produced with human hands, everything from your toilet paper to your toothbrush, is not being produced now for this period of time. But they're still being consumed. So we're going to have tight supply on everything. It's going to be hard to get anything. And it doesn't matter how much money you got. Money is not what it's all about, because the Fed's pumping the money out like crazy, and they're going to start distributing it to the people. But there's going to be nothing to buy with that money, because everything is going to go into short supply. There's going to be shortages on everything. Now, what does that basically mean? If you got shortages on everything. Everything from canned beans to toothpaste to shoes. What does that basically mean? It means prices are going to start to go up. So on one side, they're pumping the money out like crazy, and they're only going to increase in the amount of money that they're pumping out. And on the other side, there's nothing being produced. So those few items that are being produced are going to go up in value exceedingly high. Everything. Say you want a new generator. Comes from China. There's going to be no inventory of anything. You're not going to be able to buy a new generator. So some guy's got an old generator that he's willing to sell for money. You're not going to be so fussy. People are fussy now. Like they go to the store, they want the latest and greatest and the best and everything else, But people aren't going to be fussy because it's going to be not available. They might have to buy some old generator and fix it themselves and be happy to get it if you really want a generator. I'm just talking about one item, using this as an example of what's happening here. And there's going to be a carryover. Now, I'm going to tell you guys what. There's so much to cover right now. What about gold and silver? The miners are just heading home, locking the doors, on everything. On copper mines, on lead mines, zinc mines, tin mines, they're just closing the doors and heading home. Copper's a byproduct of a lot of these mines. And the primary miners, COVID-19, they're going to head home. They're going to lock the doors and head home. No production of precious metals. So that means precious metals are going to become something that these companies need it for. So when production starts to come back, like this virus is not going to be here forever, but everybody's going to need everything when production finally comes. And there's going to be a lag period here where all these items and things, are not available, including silver and gold. So these companies, when they start back up production again, like when the virus starts to go away and people want to buy a cell phone, and all the old cell phones are sold out, and they're waiting for the production of these companies to start churning out the newest, latest, greatest Apple iPhone or whatever, right? They're going to have no silver to make it with. The 1,000-ounce bars will go into, if they're not already sold out of them, they're going to be very soon. Everything's gone haywire right now. And it's because this virus is not the actual cause. It was all getting ready to happen anyway. This virus, it's not the pin that bursts the balloon. This virus is more like a double-edged sword that's come through and sliced the balloon in half, and the balloon didn't stand a chance. The balloon of our balloon economy. But it was going to pop anyway. But this is just absolutely just more than popped it. This has just sliced it right in half. So we're looking at a silver price of $13.90 today. Cryptocurrency today, it's going up like crazy. What is it? 187 billion market cap. 65.8% Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin price is 67.38 and going up. Litecoin is back up to $40. I noticed that. And all the other top coins are actually doing very good today. It's no wonder everything's starting to go back up. The Fed's making $125 billion each and every single day to keep everything up. Dow Jones is up 1,300 and some odd points, 1,335 at 19,947. So they're supporting everything. The markets are all totally rigged now at this point, and there's nobody that can debate that and say, well, the markets aren't rigged. The markets are rigged. Okay, we're looking at crude oil at 23.35 today, and the price has fallen off a little bit. Let's take a look now at U.S. Treasuries. Let me pull the chart in, and we'll take a little bit closer look at it here. We're looking at U.S. Treasury yields rising mostly across the board, except for the U.S. 3-month. We're looking at 1.39 on the U.S. 30-year and 0.82% or 0.8% on the U.S. 10-year. It says breaking here. India's Prime Minister orders lockdown of the country. 1.3 billion people are locked down. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine that? 1.3 for 21 days. 1.3 billion people locked down. They can't move for 21 days. This thing is paralyzing the entire world. You know? And I think myself, my personal opinion is that the Fed's doing the right thing supporting the markets. Actually, to tell you the truth, considering the crisis we're having. If they didn't, everything would completely collapse. And, of course, the next thing that would happen after that is you wouldn't have any food. At least with the Fed supporting the markets, you're still going to be able to grow your grocery store. It might be a limited supply. You might have to not have the pick you used to have, but at least you'll still be able to buy your spaghetti sauce. You know, you might have to take a brand you didn't buy before, but at least you'll still have spaghetti. You'll be able to make your spaghetti for your kids or whatever, you know? But if the Fed didn't do what they're doing right now, the stores would be, imagine an empty store, completely empty, nothing left, except maybe some breadcrumbs they've spilled and walked over, all over the floor or something, you know, and the windows all smashed out and the lights all out. That's what your grocery store would look like if the Fed didn't do what they're doing. Because the Fed's doing what they're doing, the lights will still be on at your grocery store. There will still be food in there. It might not be exactly, and the price might be a lot higher, and it might not be exactly what you wanted, but at least you'll still be able to get something to eat. The world would have went completely crazy if the Fed hadn't have stepped in and done this monster stimulus. But this monster stimulus is also going to eventually trickle down into the gold and silver market. And once they really start to take off, you know, that's going to be launch time for gold and silver and cryptocurrencies. Because they're printing money to infinity, and everything is going to go into short supply. And soon, I imagine soon, they're going to start to buy commodities too. If they're buying everything else, they might as well buy commodities as well, you know. Buy it all. Buy everything. But nobody's producing anything. And so how can a society like that run without having massive shortages of everything? You know? Now, people will get better in the end, you know, and they will start producing things again. But they're going to, in order for production lines to continue running, they're going to need to have gold and silver, you know, especially silver, to start these production lines again. It's going to be pandemonium. Listen, thank you guys for listening. Oh, we got to do the dollar. I forgot to do the dollar. 101.86. But this is almost totally meaningless, the U.S. dollar index. And the reason why is it's being compared to other currencies that are pieces of garbage too. You know, like the Japanese currency. it's being compared to mostly to the euro, you know. And so no wonder the dollar index is up, because it's the best one of all these crappy currencies. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe. Uh, I'll tell you my opinion. I think this virus is not going to be around for very long, but it's going to do tremendous damage. It's going to take a long time to get over the damage that's been done. But I think we're in for a little bit of once the virus is gone, I think we're in for a little bit of a resurgence in in manufacturing and everything else. You know, a bit of a comeback is because one of the things, people are going to need everything. They're going to be almost out of everything, you know, by the time this virus is gone. And these factories that produce these things, you know, are going to have it's going to take a while to restock inventories and everything else, you know, once the virus is gone. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. We'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.